I've seen videos of ants doing insane things to survive, like in this one where they built a boat out of their bodies to survive a flood, or in this one where they built a dangling bridge out of their bodies to attack a wasp nest. So I was wondering, if I put my 1,000 ants into obstacle courses, will they do similar things to complete them, or are my ants just not that smart? Well, I just spent hours gathering 1,000 ants out my old ant nest, so I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to put these guys up. Like, the floor is lava, and thankfully I already have it built right here. This is the final obstacle, and you may be wondering, bruh, TerraGreen, where's the lava? Well, the lava is these strips of red on the floor right here. You see, these are actually extremely sticky pieces of tape, and if the ants try to walk on them, well, they're gonna get stuck, of course. So if the ants want to get to the strawberries that I put at the end of the obstacle, they're gonna have to use one of the 3 tools I provided for them to figure out how they can maybe cross this lava. Or maybe they'll make a crazy bridge out of their bodies to cross it. Who knows? Anyways, I wanted to make sure most of these guys actually participated, so I spent the past few hours individually picking up each of the ants from the ant nest and transporting them into this container, or at least as many as I can get. The rest are kind of under there. That way, they could be easily transported. But before pouring these guys in, I wasted no time and I just dumped the ants straight in. If you can't tell, I actually changed the design of the obstacle a little bit, because if you remember that red tape, well, I actually replaced it with an even stickier and thicker kind of tape to make sure these ants wouldn't be able to just walk across. Anyways, let's see how they do. As you could probably guess, lots of the ants immediately went up to the tape and partially got stuck in the front. But don't worry guys, I'll be watching the ants throughout this obstacle, and any of the ants that looks like they get super stuck in the middle, I'll be picking up with these tweezers and moving back to the start so they don't get stuck in here permanently and hurt. Anyways, to actually cross this tape, like I said earlier, I gave these ants different tools, like a pile of dirt, some pieces of string, and even some wood chips to see if they'd be smart enough to actually use these things to their advantage to cross the piece of tape. And while it may look like the ants are not using the tools here, if you look very closely down here near the dirt, they've actually already started to push this pile of dirt onto the tape to make a little bridge that they could walk onto. If they keep building up this bridge, they would actually be able to cross this with no problem whatsoever. But right when I was filming this, I actually noticed that an ant had actually been walking across the tape and somehow had made it extremely close to the end. Yeah, I have no clue how this ant just managed to ignore the stickiness of this tape. I guess his legs were just extremely strong or something, because he got all the way to the end where he had a bit of trouble pulling himself off the tape, but eventually he was able to do it, and wow. Well, this ant just technically passed the obstacle. Oh my gosh, bro. I didn't even see this ant, but I mean, he just passed the obstacle. I guess that's fair and square. Good job, bro. Why is it the past 3 obstacles, it's been a single ant that's clutched it up for the entire colony? But anyways, I gotta get all these guys off the tape so they aren't hurt at all. So yeah, I got them all picked up into a container and transported them back to their nest safely. All right, because you guys beat it, I'm gonna give you this piece of the strawberry. These ants are gonna have to break into a vault. Yeah, like a robbery, basically. Yep, you heard that right, a vault. For this obstacle, I literally built up a DIY bank vault from scratch out of paper that I knew the ants would probably be able to break into. You can see, it's pretty good. Sort of looks like a real vault. And anyways, it's cool because the door actually opens, so I could fill this bank vault with an absolutely insane amount of seeds. Yeah, I put so many seeds in here. Because yeah, apparently seeds are this species of ants' favorite food, so they should absolutely swarm this thing. But I got this hot glue gun so I could seal this vault door shut, because I gotta make this actually a kind of hard obstacle. So let me just go and put some glue on here. Oh yeah, just like that. All right, the vault is completely sealed shut with glue now, so let's see if these ants can actually get the seeds out of it. This is going to be very interesting to watch. So yeah, I just put it in, and as you can imagine, the 1,000 ant colony immediately started to climb onto it. Especially when things are put into colonies' nests, they need to investigate it to make sure it's not a threat. And with this, I think they pretty much immediately knew it wasn't a threat, because none of them were biting it or anything. And actually, a lot of them were just using it as an opportunity to climb out of the enclosure. That's not good. But yeah, the vault right now is pretty sealed shut, and I don't even think the ants knew that there were seeds inside of here. So nothing really eventful happened, to be honest. Okay, this is not exactly going to plan. I'm just gonna take this box and put it in there. Oh, hopefully I didn't crush any ants. Okay, and then let me scoop up all the ants that fell off. So yeah, I got all those fallen soldiers back into the nest, of course. Well, that didn't exactly work so well, but I kind of knew it wasn't gonna work so well, so that's why I came equipped with this stuff. See, basically, it's a cup of water and a big cup of sugar, which I'm gonna pour into the water. Then basically I can mix the water and sugar around to make sugar water, which ants love the smell and taste of. And using this paintbrush, I actually just want to go and paint our vault with it. And basically this will make the vault not only taste like sugar, but it will also just make it kind of soggy since it's made out of paper, and it should make it able so the ants can chew through it and stuff and get to the seeds. So yeah, I absolutely just soaked this vault in the sugar water, and without wasting any time, I got this thing in the nest. All right, ants, let's see how you do this time. And oh boy, were things a lot more interesting this time around, because right away, tons more ants were way more interested. You can see how after the ants would walk onto the vault, they would just completely stand still. That's because they were putting their mouth up to the paper and were just completely licking all the sugar off the paper. Yeah, this is not really what I had in mind. I thought this was gonna make them want to completely chew through the paper, not lick it. But yeah, so many ants got their fair share of the sugar. However, I didn't see a single ant even trying to find or even acknowledge that there were seeds inside of here. Well, that was until this moment. When you see this hole here, well, just out of nowhere, an ant just came up to it and walked into the hole. And yeah, there was just an ant inside of this vault with the absolute jackpot of seeds. I don't know how this hole got here. I guess maybe the sogginess from the sugar water made it droop or something. But wow. That is crazy. Oh my gosh, wait, I think the ants just completed the obstacle. Let me get all the excess ants off this safe real quick. And yeah, once the extra ants had fallen off, I cut open the vault to see if that ant had actually made it inside. And as you can see, he absolutely had made it inside. Oh my gosh, bro, your colony has no clue how much you just clutched up for them. Wait, imagine if this is Anthony, that same ant that beat the obstacle course. That would be insane, but I mean, I don't know if this is the same ant. But anyways, W ant. So yeah, I just went and poured the entire vault's loot pile onto the 2D ant nest, and well, the ants have been rewarded with the absolute motherload of food up to this point. Well, it's this thing. Yup, the ants will have to walk across this extremely narrow tightrope over a pit filled with fire and flames. Oh, I gotta put that out. Oh, yep, put that out. Oh, are you gonna go out? No, I'm just kidding. That would be crazy. These are literally my pets. I would never do that. But I will be trapping the ants down here if they fall by lining the walls of this pit with this super slippery liquid stuff called Fluon. I know you can't really see this stuff since it's invisible, but basically when an ant tries to walk up on here now, it'll just slip off completely. Yeah, this stuff is super slippery. And you guys are about to see why this challenge gets so interesting in a second. But if you look over at the 2D ant nest, you'll actually see I have a little hole here plugged up with some paper towels. And if you also look here, I got some tubing, meaning I can connect this to the obstacle. So yeah, let's just get this obstacle started. Come on, ants, let's get in here. Immediately after plugging in the tubing, obviously ants noticed and started walking in. I mean, there's 1,000 ants. You can't even get away from them for a second. So that's what makes these obstacles fun, because it only took like 10 seconds till our first ant entered the tightrope of doom tank. Now, to pass this obstacle, the ants quite literally just need to get one of these pieces of insect legs back across the tightrope, which I think might be impossible, but let's see how they do. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the ants started off with some pretty lackluster performance because our first ants that made it to this tightrope didn't actually walk onto it. They kind of just walked around it on the corner of this platform where they just ended up just slipping off. Yeah, come on, guys. What are you doing? But we got 1,000 ants, so I was expecting at least one of these ants to eventually step onto this tightrope. But as tons more ants started to walk into this room, yeah, they kind of all just did the same exact thing. And the pit started to get absolutely filled up with tons of ants. Come on, ants, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. I think this is actually my fault, and to make them walk across the tightrope, I just gotta fix something. Let me show you how to fix it. Basically, what I did was, first of all, tape 2 extra pieces of string to the tightrope to make it a bit thicker so the ants would feel safer when they walked on it. And also, I rubbed this insect jelly food on the tightrope to make the bridge smell like jelly. And yeah, hopefully this will make them want to walk on it. Now, this worked exactly how I wanted it to, because within the first minute, our first workers actually started to walk onto the tightrope and explored it, just very slowly. But over time, more and more ants started to walk onto it, and it was actually kind of funny because sometimes the ants would literally just be hanging from each other's legs because there would just be way too many on the tightrope at the same time. Dang, these ants aren't very good at saving their friends. But it didn't take long for our first brave ant to actually make it to the end of this tightrope. That wasn't even half of the challenge, because now, if you remember, the ants actually got to pick up one of these insect legs and bring them back across the tightrope. And this ant clearly wasn't looking too interested in that, because yeah, he was just completely ignoring them. So I kept waiting until some more ants made it to the side by crossing the tightrope. And surprisingly, one of the ants that made it actually did seem interested in the legs, because he went up to one of them and actually started to bite it. But if you couldn't tell, this leg is kind of way too big for this worker to carry it all by himself. And for some reason, even after tons of ants made it onto this side, none of them came to help this poor worker move the leg. But this worker had a mission. He knew he needed to take a leg back to the colony. So what he did was he went up to one of the smaller insect legs that he could actually carry by himself, and he actually picked it up and started to walk. Yep, yeah, it wasn't super efficient or anything, but theoretically he could pass this obstacle for the entire colony if he played his cards right. And played his cards right, he did, because I'm not joking, he walked straight over to the tightrope, and he might have had an extremely close call where he almost fell off, but somehow he managed to save himself. And then the ant actually started to walk across the tightrope with an insect leg in his mouth.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is genuinely so insane. I am rooting for you, bro. I mean, you got a long way to go, but guys, the ants were doing so awful up to this point. You could see how many fell into the pit of doom. Bro, this dude, he's just an absolute killer.
Yup, literally none of the 1,000 ants decided to help this dude. He was doing this entirely solo. And so he kept on marching, completely ignoring any ants that were in his way. And this dude made it all the way to the end of the tightrope, where he then walked onto the platform to complete the obstacle. Oh my gosh, this ant is insane. Seriously, I gotta name this guy. I think I'm gonna name him Anthony. And we're probably never gonna be able to find Anthony again since all the ants look the same. But seriously, everyone spam some W's in the comments for Anthony. That was so insane.
And since these guys beat the obstacle, I'm gonna give them the insect's legs as a prize. Thanks, Anthony. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
Obstacle number 1 is this thing. Basically, what we do is put some massive dead insect food at the bottom, and then we fill it with a bunch of sand to turn it into one of those 2D ant nests. Basically, we'll be able to watch the ants dig out all sorts of tunnel systems in here, and if they actually find the insect food I hit at the bottom, then they'll pass the obstacle and move on to the next obstacles that get harder and harder as the video goes on.
All right, let's not waste any time, and well, let's just do this. Wow, that is very satisfying watching 1,000 ants fall in here. Okay.
Now, of course, immediately, the ants all just started to try and climb the walls of the top area to try and escape. But surprisingly, many of the ants were already starting to dig down that center 2D part of the nest.
Oh my gosh, this is happening so fast. Wait, is there already progress on the side of the tank? Oh, I just put these guys in literally like 45 seconds ago, and they've already dug like half an inch down in. What?
Yep, and if you check out this time-lapse footage, you can see just how quickly they were getting work done. They literally work like mini drills to dig these tiny tunnels through the sand. But in reality, it's a tiring and grueling process where each individual grain of sand has to be picked up from a worker underground, brought all the way up to the surface through this little hole, and then dropped off at this pile of sand over here. Now, while I was recording this, it was actually getting pretty late in the day, so I decided to turn off the lights and came back the next day to see the progress made. And guys, the next day I came back to the ant nest looking like this. Yeah.
Bro, what? It's been literally like 8 hours. How did these ants build an entire intricate nest?
And not only were all these intricate tunnel systems made, but remember those dead insects I placed at the bottom as food? Well, it's safe to say that ants found those too, and it looks like the whole colony had swarmed them and had already started to devour them. And since they got to the insects, that technically means they passed this first obstacle. Congratulations, guys. It happened so fast, I literally didn't even capture that on camera.
Oh, old fish tank has a live fish and frogs. And just look at this monstrosity. Yeah, this is not even a fish tank. The water is straight up black, and somehow it says there's fish and frogs alive in that. How is that even possible? I need to save those guys. So in this video, I'm gonna buy that tank, completely revamp it into the best fish tank ever, and save the fish and frogs that are somehow still alive inside of it. So first, I had to, of course, drive out to the cellar and fork up the $20 needed to buy it. See, normally a fish tank for $20 would be a good deal, but this thing has a whole list of problems. But anyways, it's mine now, so we're just gonna go take it home and, you know, run some diagnostics. We're just gonna see if these fish are gonna be able to survive. Let's go. As soon as I got home, I got out some water testing strips. And after swishing them around, I figured out that there was a bunch of problems with the current water. I needed to get the fish and frogs out of there as soon as possible. So I quickly got a temporary tank, built it up, and added some healthy quick start bacteria to make it safe for the fish. And of course, I can't scoop the fish out of this straight up sewage water. Yeah, I can't even see through it. So I quickly set up a filter, and after a few hours, I was able to see through the water. All right, it's 100% clear now, and if there's fish in here, I'm gonna scoop it out with this net. Oh, did you just see that right there? It's a good thing these are still alive. Let me get you out. Thankfully, the frogs were still okay, so I scooped them out. And eventually, I even found the fish all still in good health. I identified the frog species as African dwarf frogs, which are able to survive fully underwater. And the fish was the species of black coolie loach, which is this weird snake-looking thing. But of course, now it's time to focus on transforming this. I honestly can't get over how bad this is, like genuinely, who built this? And to start the process, this thing needed to be cleaned. So I drained out the sewage water and got rid of it. And of course, I took everything else out because, yeah, we don't really want any of this nasty stuff. If I'm being honest, this is already 100 times better than that garbage we started with. But we're about to make this 1,000 times better. So let's give those creatures a new home. Anyway, step one was to buy a lot of money's worth of new supplies. Oh my god, $400. This is gonna be an insane build. And get them delivered to my house. But for step two, we gotta actually get to building and, there we go. And to start the build, I'm gonna recreate that plastic arch thing that was originally in the tank. And I'm gonna base the entire theme of the new tank around that. Just obviously, I'm gonna be using real rocks, not plastic trash pet store rocks that are dirty. Yeah, this is so bad. Get this out of here. Anyways, the build was pretty simple. You just place rocks in and then glue them together. And then repeat that like a billion times. And after literally 4 hours, the cave arch structure was done. And I know, it might look like trash right now with all that exposed foam and stuff, but trust me, it's gonna look good soon. And speaking of looking good, let's get to the next part where we add in the floor and decorations. First, I'll do the floor, which I'm mostly gonna be making out of this aqua soil stuff. But I also kept some of the original soil from the trash tank because while it was dirty, it was actually some pretty good soil. But of course, it needed to be cleaned so I wasn't getting deadly bacteria and viruses in my new tank. So to kill all that stuff, I decided to boil it in some boiling water. Yeah. Alright, it's been boiling for a little bit and it's probably killed all the bacteria and stuff. But I was thinking this kind of looks like soup, so I'm just gonna go and see if my mom will try and drink it or something. I don't know, let's see. I made some soup. Do you want to try it?
What kind of soup is it? It's dirt.
No, it's mushroom.
Okay. Is it really mushroom?
Yeah. No, like actually it is. You can just...
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's raw.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Is mushroom.
Okay, I guess it doesn't really look like soup. She didn't fall for it. Anyways, I added it in and then poured a layer of gravel on top. The floor was now finished, and next up was the decorations, which basically meant I was just gonna add some plants and stuff. Yeah. For the plants, I got a delivery that cost $100 from some aquarium website, and I got straight to planting them. First, I covered the whole top of the cave in this moss stuff to make it look like grass was growing on top. Then for the rest of the plants, I just, put them around the aquarium, as you do. Finally, I scattered some rocks and wood around. I just, forgot to record that part, so just imagine this is footage of me doing that. Okay, the whole base of the tank is now complete, but this is honestly kinda average. Rocks, plants, every aquarium has that. And I'm transforming this into the best aquarium to give justice to the poor frogs and fish, meaning I still have a lot of work to do. Next up on the list is to add custom technology in here that'll make the tank actually cool. And the first technology I got is this little water pump. And to show you what it does, let me fill the tank up with water, plug it in, and yeah, boy, it makes bubbles. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but it is important to have this so oxygen can spread around the tank.
Nice.
Anyways, this next technology is actually cool. I was just wandering around Walmart yesterday and saw this little robo fish that apparently can swim around in the water by itself. That is too cool to pass up on, so of course I bought half of their stock. And on the packaging it says it even changes colors in the water. That's sick. But I don't really know how this works, so I guess I'll just press this button and, oh, the fins are moving. Okay, let me put this in the water.
Wait, bro, look at this thing. This is actually pretty cool.
Wait, I gotta get these other ones in here. Let's see.
Okay, all the fish are in here, and this just looks like an aquarium now. I'm not even gonna lie. Bro, the actual fish are gonna be so confused when they see these ones in here. That is gonna be so funny. Anyways, for now, I'm gonna take them out, and later I'll be adding them back in with the live fish to see how the live fish react. This is an automatic fish feeder. Basically, I just gotta set it up on the side, fill it up with all types of tasty food, and now I just press this button on the side, and it'll drop food. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or I can set it to be automatic every 12 or 24 hours. But there's no fish in here, so let me just take this food out so it doesn't get moldy and stuff. Okay, now the final technology. And this, to be honest, isn't anything special. It's just a water filter and a water heater, which is just some basic necessities to make sure our fish and frogs are able to thrive. And speaking of those guys, it's almost time to see how they're gonna react to the new transformed tank. But before then, I'm gonna first add in some friends for them. And I've got a lot of stuff. The first species I added in was a bunch of ghost shrimp, which, you know, are shrimp. They clean up the tank and stuff. Thanks, guys. But actually, this is a pretty cool species because as you can see, they're kind of see-through. And because of that, you can literally see stuff inside of their body. Like this guy just ate some moss. And because of that, you can see some green inside of his body. Wow. The next species I added in was 2 new African dwarf frogs and 5 more coolie loaches. And yes, these are the same species of fish and frogs that were in the original tank. And that's because those species that we already have are all social animals, and it wasn't ideal to only have the 2 frogs and 1 fish that we started with. The final species I added in was some neon tetras, just because, well, they look cool and they swim around schools and they look cool. Yeah. Well, all the friends are added now, so of course it's time to add the original frogs and fish inside. Be free. Okay, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Well, they're in here now, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna live an amazing life, so that's good. But now that it's transformed, this is the best part of the video, where I'll be doing stuff like seeing how the fish react to the robot fish, and also I'll even be hatching live prey from eggs to feed the frogs and fish some live food. And speaking of that live prey, let's get to hatching that now, because it's gonna take a little while to get those hatched. These are brine shrimp eggs, which to start the hatching process, we're basically gonna get a pot, throw a bunch of ingredients in there like a soup, and put in a heater, a light, and a pump. And yeah, basically these shrimp are gonna hatch in about a day, probably. I don't know if I set this up right, but I guess we'll see. In the meantime, I had to, of course, test out the robot fish in the aquarium, so, be free. Right after adding them, the first fish to encounter them was the little school of neon tetras. At first, they seemed pretty chill about it, just ignoring it and going about their normal life. That was until one of the robot fish started to rush at them at max speed, and, they all got extremely scared. One of the frogs was also chilling on top of the cave when another robot fish came swimming in towards them. Yeah, he was not gonna have any of that. But the thing is, most of the fish were inside of the cave, so I wasn't able to see their reaction. So, of course, I put all the robot fish inside of it. And, yeah, they kind of all got stuck, and I couldn't record any of the fish reactions because it was too dark. And since I couldn't even reach the robot fish to get them out, they're just gonna be a permanent addition to the cave. Nice. Anyways, I let a day pass so that I could come back to the brine shrimp eggs being hatched. And while it looked like 99% of the eggs hadn't hatched, if we zoom in a bunch on my bad quality iPhone camera, you can see thousands of little dots swimming around. Those are the brine shrimp. Listen, I didn't say they were gonna be big, okay? So I got my water sucker, sucked them up, and was ready to feed the fish. I first put a little bit of the shrimp right next to a lone neon tetra, and within seconds he started going crazy. It even attracted the attention of some of the other tetras, and soon multiple were sucking up all the tasty shrimp. Next up, I put some of the brine shrimp near a frog, and at first he seemed to not care, but then he started to, of course, devour them too. I guess these brine shrimps taste good. Dang. Finally, I put some of the brine shrimp near a coolie loach, and I was expecting this guy to start eating them too, but he kind of just, yeah, he just swam away into the darkness of a cave. Bruh. Well, even though I found this aquarium as a piece of garbage, I'm happy I was able to completely transform it and give a new home to the poor fish and frogs that were alive in it originally. It may take you a couple of seconds to realize that there's a camouflaged mantis here, but that's all the time it needs to grab you and eat you alive. Yep, there's mantises that have learned to imitate flowers so well that they grow literal petals on their arms, all just to trick bugs into walking near them. And apparently I can get 4 different variations of them online to keep as pets. So hey, I guess let me buy them. add to cart.
And because of their fantastic one-day delivery, the next day I got the package. Inside was 4 little containers, each with their own mantis. There was 2 of these pink and white flower mantises. There was 1 dead moss-looking mantis, and also 1 black mantis, which doesn't really blend in with anything in nature, so I don't know why this was included in the camouflage pack, but I'll make it work. For the builds, I'm going to take out 4 enclosures and start spraying the backs of them, all of course with some spray foam, which I then covered in dirt and moss, and I did that to every single enclosure. I then even went and added some little spray foam mounds on the backs of each background so they all had some depth and variation to them. Now from here, I'm going to create the camouflage bases of each enclosure, starting first with the 2 pink and white flower mantises. For these guys, I started by filling up their enclosures with dirt and attaching some smaller sticks hanging along the back of it. I eventually want to get pink and white flowers all over this, but for now, we're just making the base. I then used some of this green moss to hang off the ends of all of the sticks. We don't want to use too much of this stuff though, because the mantises don't really blend in that well with it. Then for the third enclosure, we're going to put in those same dirt and sticks, but as you can see, this mantis evolved to have more of a pattern that matched this tan dead moss. So this time I put a ton of that moss everywhere along the branches. Then for the floor, you guessed it, more tan stuff like dead leaves, some more moss, sticks, and pine cones.
But I feel like this enclosure is still kind of missing something, and to be honest, I've kind of ran out of all of the tan materials. So I'm just gonna head outside, and as you can see back here, there's a ton of these like dead flower things, but they look exactly like the mantis. So let me pick off a few and take them inside.
But you see, I don't want to just shove these into the enclosure because there's a chance that there's some deadly bacteria and parasites on them. So to kill all that stuff, I preheated my oven to 250 degrees, lined the sticks up on a baking sheet, and slid it inside. Basically, because the temperature is so high, it's gonna kill all the bacteria and stuff on here, so we can put this in the enclosure.
All right, it's been in there for like 30 minutes. So let's just pull this out, and oh yes, it's looking nice and crispy. Maybe a little too crispy. That one looks like it just caught on fire, actually.
Anyways, I put those around the enclosure, and then it was done. Now, finally, onto the black mantis's base. And as you know, this guy doesn't really blend in that well with normal stuff, because like nothing in nature is black, really.
But I'm not gonna let that stop me, because I actually have an idea.
So what I did was go outside and started to saw a few branches off of some trees. Once I had collected a few of them, I laid them down along a metal sheet as they were now ready for my experiment.
Everyone, say hello to a blowtorch. Yes, this is real. Apparently, you can just buy one at Walmart for $20, and you don't need a license or anything. I don't really know how to use this thing, but basically, I just want to burn the wood so it's black. So, I guess let's just try it out.
So, that's what I did. Basically, the sticks catch on fire for just a second, which is just enough time for them to turn black. I also decided to burn them one by one in order to not accidentally start a giant bonfire in my house. I then put all this black wood around the enclosure and kind of just stuffed the larger pieces in the top of the sticks, and there we go.
There we go. Looks pretty good now, but I think we can go even darker. And we do that, of course, by once again getting the blowtorch, and we're just gonna go along the background and just kind of set it to fire. Oh, shoots. Oh, I gotta be careful.
To all of you watching, make sure not to try this at home. Got out all the plants and started by just putting them in the first 2 flower enclosures.
But I still feel like I gotta make these 2 enclosures way more pink.
And in order to do that, I went outside and went up to this pink tree I have in my yard. The flower petals all over it looked like a good color, so I grabbed a few of them and scattered them along both of my enclosures. Now, when I put one of the pink flower mantises up to the flowers and let them climb onto it, it's almost like it completely disappears. Anyways, now it's time for this 3rd enclosure. Now, if you remember, I got this plant for this enclosure, so I kind of just picked off parts of it and planted it along the soil all around the enclosure. And as you can see, this mantis blends in all right with this, but it's actually going to be mostly used as just a way to climb up to some moss where she really blends in with.
All right, that looks good. And now time for the black enclosure for the black mantis. And for this, I just got a green plant because obviously there's no such thing as a black plant, or wait, actually, there might be a thing as a black plant. Let me test it out. Let me put that leaf there. Turn on the blowtorch, and I guess just see what happens. Just start lighting it a fire.
And as you can see, when I burned this plant, it actually was turning black, but also had a slight side effect that it was completely getting disintegrated, and the structure of it all fell apart.
Yeah, I don't know if I could use that actually.
So I just stuck to my original plan and put the plant smack dab in the center of the enclosure. Yeah, it doesn't really match, but to be honest, it's kind of cool and adds a little bit of nice contrast to this burned wasteland look. And with that, we can now finally put the mantises into their new home and see if their camouflage actually works on bugs.
Let's see see how these do in the enclosure.
So I went and dumped some of the crickets in and then put the pink flower mantis in. And right away, I noticed that maybe I had put too many crickets in because the mantis was getting absolutely surrounded by them. In fact, he actually looked pretty scared and was trying to just stand still to blend in and not get seen by the crickets. And the entire 45 minutes of watching him in this enclosure, I didn't see him strike a single cricket.
Well, I guess just any crickets are not a food source that baby mantises like. So these get a 0 out of 10. Get this trash out of here. However, there you go, boy. Come on. You gonna climb on? Hello?
Now for the first food source for this guy, I'm gonna be using literally just the size I never get for my videos because, I mean, look at them. They're like even smaller than my fingernail. But anyways, let's put these inside the enclosure. Right away, one of the crickets started to climb along a flower. And I don't blame you if you couldn't see the mantis here because it's in its prime camouflage territory. If us humans have trouble seeing a mantis like this, I can say for a fact that this cricket definitely couldn't see it and it made a grave mistake of walking too close. The mantis quickly struck at the cricket but missed. But the mantis wasn't gonna let that stop him. So the next time the cricket came around, he charged up an attack and jumped off the leaf. Yeah, and that kind of just kept happening over and over. I guess they're scared of extra small crickets or something.
I still think there's room for improvement with this black mantis because I have one more prey I want to try and feed them. So I'm just gonna go and let this guy loose in the enclosure.
For this guy, I'll be feeding him flightless fruit flies, which is the tiniest of all the preys I've had, meaning it's probably the hardest to catch. But I've also heard mantises love flies, so let's see. Now, it turns out that doing that burnt wood for this enclosure was actually a good idea because the mantis was just chilling on one of the sticks, waiting for a fly to walk by. And after leaving him alone for a minute, I actually came back to a flightless fruit fly in his hand. It's a pretty cool shot to see the black mantis on the black stick eating a black fly contrasted with that white background. But I did kind of want to see him strike one of the flies, so I ended up putting him on a white lid and put a fly right up to his face. Right away, he struck at it, and yeah, he started eating this one too. Even though mantises are just some simple little insects, I think they have one of the coolest eating processes out of any animal.
This next mantis is a bit bigger, and I'm 100% confident he's gonna eat the next food source. Let's go and put him in the enclosure. There you go, boy.
They're fast and hard to catch, but they're very nutritious. The mantis ended up walking onto this plastic lid that I had put in the enclosure, so I ended up just putting the roaches on that. And literally instantly, the mantis noticed them and turned on his predator mode. Right away, he struck at them and missed. But he wasn't gonna let that stop him because then he struck again, and this time he got a perfect hold of the roach. Using their sharp claws, they basically hold the prey in place and lock them so they can't get out no matter what. Then with its alien mouth, it sucks the juices out of the roach while it's still alive. Yeah, it's extremely brutal, and the whole time the roach was just squirming its little antennas around, but there was nothing it could do.
There we go. That's what a mantis is supposed to do. So I think I'm gonna give the roaches 8 out of 10.
I just found probably the most alien-looking creature on Earth. It is literally a mutant creature with the mouth of a spider, the body of a scorpion, and claws that look like saws. And that's not even mentioning that it has some of the weirdest and creepiest behavior out of any animal ever. But despite how weird it is, apparently there's a website that will sell you one as a pet.
So yeah, you guys read the title. I'm gonna build a home for one of these things and actually keep it as a pet. $20, let's just get it. Oh boy.
And once I get it, I'll be judging if this alien creature is actually a good pet, and I'll even show it to my mom to get her reaction. Yeah, she's gonna love it. Anyways, after placing the order, they said they would ship it out in a few days. So in the meantime, to build the enclosure, I got out the tank and a couple big boxes of rocks. Yeah, I got a lot of rocks for this. This is because I needed them to start stacking around the outer part of the enclosure to try to make it look like a cave. You see, in the wild, tailless whip scorpions like to hide in between rocks because, I guess that's just where they feel safe. I don't really know. And to connect the rocks together, I originally tried to use my handy dandy hot glue gun and, glue them, but the rocks were just too heavy and it kept collapsing over and over.
Oh my gosh, these stupid rocks keep falling.
Yeah, it wasn't really working, so instead I resorted to using some animal safe spray foam like always, and I covered it in a bunch of the big rocks and then a bunch of tiny little rocks, and I repeated that process on the left and right side of the enclosure.
And check it out. Hopefully you see the vision I'm going for. There's a cave. We're making a cave. There's rocks on the walls. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool.
Now, this is a good start. However, you'd be dumb to think this is all I'm doing. I'm making this the best enclosure ever, so I can show off all the cool things the alien creature can do. It's gonna be so cool to watch. Anyways, the next step is to do the floor and decorations. And for the floor, we want it to be high quality and cheap, which is why I've got a bunch of these coconut fiber bricks, which are about to expand turned into a ton of dirt.
Seriously, these are so cool. You just add a big tub of water like this. Ooh, I'm getting that everywhere. And over time, it's gonna start to absorb that water and they're gonna expand and become a bunch of dirt, you know? And boom, look at that. It went from those boring bricks to this nice, moist dirt. Yeah, boy. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but you know, it's dirt. It's pretty necessary.
To top off the floor, I mixed in some wood chips, dead leaves, some moss, and a couple rocks. Now, apparently the alien creature I'm getting has the ability to dig burrows out in this dirt with its claws, but I have no idea if mine's gonna do that, so hopefully it does. That would be pretty dang cool to watch. Now, to decorate the enclosure, I got these super thin sticks and started to glue them along the top. As you can see, they kind of look like tree roots, which adds this cool effect to the build that makes it look like there's trees growing above this cave. Nice. And of course, this wouldn't be a TerraGreen enclosure without some plants in here, which, as you can see, I've got a few of. And if you're wondering where I got them, yeah, I got them from Walmart, as always. I love Walmart so much. Please sponsor me. Please, please, please. As you can see, all the plants are pretty small since we don't want it to look too planty in this cave. So I planted them around and gave it a nice spray down with my water spraying thing. Now, these plants are actually super important because water droplets will gather on top of the leaves, which will easily allow the alien creature to sip them up and get hydrated, which, you know, is good. You know, we gotta make sure he can drink water and stuff. But while I was at Walmart getting the plants, I also found this absolutely majestical stone statue of an alien.
Hi, how are you?
Because, you know, we're putting a tailless whip scorpion inside of here, which is basically an alien. So yeah, I put that in to finish off the decorations.
Bruh, this guy's got a big forehead. That's a real shame. Thankfully, my forehead isn't that big.
Okay, the first 3 steps are all complete, but now it's time to get some technology in this enclosure to make it stand out. It's this super tiny Bluetooth speaker, which I buried in the dirt and covered with a leaf. With this, all I gotta do is connect it to my phone with Bluetooth, and I can play stuff like cave noises, which is pretty cool. You know, adds to the cave ambience.
But of course, I don't have to make this speaker just play cave noises. I can make it play literally anything, like the most annoying sound in the world, 1 hour. What is this sound? What? This is so stupid. Okay, definitely wasn't lying. This is probably the most annoying sound in the world. I don't think the alien's gonna like this if I play this when he's in here. Okay, I get it. Can you just turn off by now? Turn off. Okay. Oh, okay. Please turn off. Please.
I had to fill up this container with a bunch of water, and after it was filled up, I put it back on top and finally twisted this knob right here.
And now check this out. Out of the end of this tube, a bunch of smoke, as you can see. Or fog, not smoke. It'd probably be bad if there's smoke coming out of it. Dang, that is actually cool. Like, it just comes out. I don't know how a machine just turns water into fog. That's pretty cool.
Anyways, this is actually very useful, since as long as I turn this on about once a day, it will keep the humidity levels at a good spot for this enclosure. Also, it's just cool and adds to the cave ambience, you know? And speaking of cave ambience,
Let's go, baby.
so I got out a knife and opened the package up.
And oh, here it is. Because you can't really see anything. There's paper towels everywhere. Okay, hold on. Let me open this up.
I then very carefully removed the lid and paper towels to expose the alien creature.
Oh my gosh. This thing is gonna jump out at me. I have no idea. I'm just gonna close the glass though. Yeah, get that closed. Thank you very much.
Now, at first, it was completely still, and actually, I couldn't even tell if it was alive, but eventually, I noticed signs of movement, and then soon enough, it fully started to climb out of its container. Very creepily, it slowly made its way over to a rock to go into hiding. But it wasn't just any rock. Of course, it was the rock with the alien statue on top.
Bruh. Well. I told you guys this was an alien. Only an alien would go under the rock with an alien on top of it. But anyways, as I said at the start of the video, I'm gonna be pranking my mom with this thing. But before I do something like that, let's just see what it's capable of by trying to feed it something. I don't know. Let's just put some food in here though.
And after doing some research, it turns out that tailless whip scorpions absolutely love crickets. And thankfully, I always have a bag of crickets. And immediately after putting them in, they actually all looked very happy. These stupid crickets really thought that this was their new home, and they were just going around eating moss. Well, little did they know that this home actually belongs to my tailless whip scorpion, and unfortunately for one of the crickets, it made a wrong turn. It walked straight into the crevice of the rock that the alien creature was sitting inside. I thought for sure that that cricket was a goner, but miraculously, about a minute later, it walked out the rock unscathed. A little later, I saw the alien creature in a different spot hanging onto a wall. And just like before, a cricket walked straight up to it. And in fact, this cricket was extra stupid. He started to walk right in front of the alien's literal mouth. Bruh. But for some reason, the tailless whip scorpion was not eating it at all.
Okay, it's the next day and I figured out why the alien creature in here isn't eating. It's because this species is partly nocturnal, and as you can see, I just have massive studio lights shining super brightly on here. I guess he just doesn't want to eat in the light. So anyways, I want to let this guy just kind of adjust to the new home for about a week, and I guess I'll just come back then and we can do the rest of the stuff.
In the meantime, here's this cool video by Aquarimax Pets of the same species eating, if you're wondering what that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to the content.
Okay, this is the absolute best part of the video because I'm gonna show my mom this alien creature and then I'm gonna prank her. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna prank her, just take a look at this thing. It's basically a one-on-one model of the tailless whip scorpion. And yeah, I'm basically just gonna throw it at her. She is not gonna be happy. But anyway, she's not home right now, so I guess I'll just cut to when she is and we'll show her this. Okay, you can come in. All right, so I just got a new pet, and I just want to show you it. Okay. Now come stand over here, and you can try and tell what it is. I just want you to guess what kind of pet I got.
Oh my gosh, it looks super cool. Where's it at?
Can you see anything in there?
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay, well, it's hidden behind this rock, but...
Shut up, dude.
Do you know what it is?
No.
If you look very
Wait a
closely
second.
back under that rock, there's something right there.
Oh my god, dude, I'm scared.
For some reason, she couldn't really see it, so I gently woke it up with a spatula, and here's her reaction.
Oh my god, dude! What the heck is this?
You see that?
Seriously?
You
No,
see that?
no, yeah, that's alien and mindfulness. Oh
It's an alien in
my
there.
goodness.
Anyways, I have this fog machine, so we can put some fog on it, and that's pretty cool.
That's super cool, but seriously, where did that come from?
I don't know, the space or something?
Space.
Okay, anyways, that's all I gotta show you. Do you think it's cool?
No, dude, it looks so freaking weird. Yeah, it looks like evil.
Well, it's a good thing you'll never have to see it again. Okay, bye.
Now that she had seen it and left, I got the one-on-one model out and put it on my hand. This is gonna be really funny.
Okay, could you come back in here? I just forgot to show you one thing.
Oh my god, dude! Dude,
You wanna say
Devin,
hello
no,
to it?
no, go away!
Yeah.
You're such a dork, that's not even real.
Yeah, it's just a piece of
Oh
paper.
my gosh.
What do you rate it out of
Oh
10?
my gosh. Whew, I don't know, I'm still confused.
Okay,
Devin.
bye.
Okay, how much weight can a spider web actually hold? Obviously, they hold flies, but what about a pen? A water bottle? A dumbbell?
Well, I went out and bought the spider that makes the strongest webs in the world to be able to go and test it.
And without wasting any time, I let the spider loose into this massive enclosure with tons of anchor points all over the wall to ensure an enormous web could be built in here. You see, these are called golden silk orb weavers, and their silk is so strong that it's said that the military literally studied it to learn how to make bulletproof vests. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. So while we wait for this massive web to be constructed, I also want to test questions like what is the coolest spider species, can spiders walk on water, and tons of other fun spider questions.
I went and put that spider inside of this massive enclosure, and for me that was about a week ago, and since putting the spider inside of here, all he's pretty much done is spun some web at the back left corner and the back right corner, and yeah, he hasn't made a massive web in the middle.
You see, spiders that make massive webs like this can take weeks in captivity to feel comfortable enough to do it, just because the environment is totally different from the wild. Now, I usually would just keep waiting to be able to find some spider webs in the wild myself.
And guys, I brought the backpack so we can test a bunch of items in the spider webs to see what is the heaviest item they can hold.
Now, after I found this first pretty tiny spider web, I got out the backpack to take out the lightest item to test the weight of crickets, which obviously you can see this web is able to hold just fine. Webs like this are literally designed to be able to hold insects. You see, even just this is impressive because if these spiders were scaled up to how big humans were, it'd basically be the equivalent to a human being able to make a web that could hold 125 pounds, based on some complex math, which I'm not going to go into.
All right, but we knew that was going to be able to hold a cricket. Our next item we got to test though is a $20 bell, which actually weighs double the amount as what a cricket weighs. And also it's a lot bigger, so let's see if a bigger web can hold this.
Like I said, this web is a bit bigger and it should be able to hold this even though the weight is double the amount. And after after kind of finding the right place to balance it, boom, just like that, the $20 looks like it's just floating there, but it's actually being held by the web. And when ranked on our human scalability, that money is the equivalent to a human making a web that could hold 250 pounds. We're getting heavier. But the next item is this empty pen casing, which is 5 times more heavy than that money. Now, if you're wondering how the web handled against this, well, you'd probably be surprised that it actually held without too much of a problem at all. Meaning this is basically the equivalent to a human web holding over 1,000 pounds. Now, we are getting heavy. And now the last item I've got is a water bottle, which is obviously a lot heavier and also a lot bigger than all the other stuff I've tested. And I know it's not a dumbbell like I said at the start, but hey, I'm not trying to just destroy this web for no reason at all, because yeah, that would definitely destroy it. But yeah, let's test if this can hold the water bottle. Now, with the pen and money already weighing this web down, it wasn't looking too promising, but I still tried my best to perfectly align the water bottle in the web so it would hold. And when I let go of the water bottle, it fell apart. I got the cutest spider right in here. They're called jumping spiders, and I mean, just look at them. While every other spider is evil and just straight up nasty looking, these guys are super fluffy, and they got all these little cute eyes, arms, and everything about them is just lovely. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. In fact, these spiders are so cute, they literally made an entire animated show about them called Lucas the Spider. And dang, this is pretty entertaining, but also it's not very accurate, because if this is real, the spider would definitely be eating the fly. Because even though these guys are so cute, they're called jumping spiders because of their insane ability to jump towards prey and eat them whole. Yeah, they probably aren't so cute to the prey. So you already know, I got a little home built for this guy. I went and put him inside, and I got out a cricket to feed him. Yeah, but this cricket is pretty big for the jumping spider, so if it's able to eat this thing, that'll just show how insane they are despite being super duper cute. Now, what I did was immediately showed the jumping spider the cricket to let him know it was feeding time. And while I was showing it to him, you could see he was actually being pretty nice and wasn't just straight up attacking it. Actually, was kind of backing off. So I decided to let the cricket loose, and a little later, I noticed the cricket was standing literally right next to the spider. And yeah, the jumping spider just wasn't eating it for some reason. Dang, maybe that little animation I was watching was accurate, and maybe jumping spiders are actually very friendly. Or maybe mine was just not hungry right now. Actually, that probably is what it is. But I think I'm just gonna leave that cricket in there, so when the jumping spider gets hungry, it will do that, basically. Yeah, as you can tell in this footage, it's pretty cool to watch them eat. How Spider-Man can shoot long-ranged webs out of his wrists, well, this spider species can also shoot long-ranged webs, and it's pretty crazy. These are called long-legged spitting spiders. And as you can see, they look pretty weird because they have a massive head. You see, most spiders have their silk glands, which are the things that make silk, in their abdomen, and that's why that area is so big. But these guys got their silk glands in their head because they need to be able to shoot webs out of their mouth. But in order for them to be able to do that, they gotta go and set up a little area in their tank. So I put my spider in the tank, and he started to walk around, climbed up some sticks and stuff. And when I came back a little bit later, there was a little web made at the top of the enclosure. This means he was now settled in, and he is ready to attack some prey. All right, now that the spider went and made a web somewhere at the top of the enclosure, I'm gonna put in some crickets like always. And I know it's kind of a lot, but hopefully one of these guys gets shot by some webs. Let's go. So I put them in, and while most of the crickets were kind of just walking around the grassy floor area, this one cricket started to climb up this stick that led directly to where the spitting spider was. The cricket then crawled right next to the spider, waking him up, which probably angered the spider, causing the spider to shoot his web directly onto the cricket, completely gluing him to the wall, making sure the cricket would never be able to move again. You see, not only does this web shot completely immobilize the prey, just like Spider-Man can do, but also because the web shots come from the head, it's infused with the spider's venom, meaning the web that's covering this cricket's body is seeping venom into it, which makes it even easier for the spider to consume it. And as you can see, that's exactly what the spider did. And well, guys, I think I found it. I got it. It's right in here. But before I could take it out of this container, I quickly built up its enclosure. And yep, literally all we need is just some sand, and that is it. These are one of the most resilient and simple spiders in the entire world. And let's open this. Now, you may notice that I was being extremely ultra careful with opening this. And that's because this species is one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. Like, period. And if it bit me, there'd be a high likelihood I wouldn't make it. But thankfully, that didn't happen because the spider started to climb out of the paper towel and then onto the sand. Now, these are called six-eyed sand spiders. These guys are able to camouflage by doing this. Once they find a good spot where the sand is nice and loose, they start to kick sand on top of themselves and bury themselves under it to hide here for basically 99% of its life. Now, it may not technically be camouflage, but this ability does an amazing job at hiding it. And I mean, even its legs just look like tiny little sticks poking out the sand. This does not look like a spider. Unlike other predators that use their camouflage abilities to hunt, these spiders are no different. And as soon as they detect motion, they will jump out of the floor.
So let's feed this thing a cricket. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you would have no idea that that is literally one of the most venomous things in the world.
Anyways, I went and dropped the cricket inside, and immediately he got to running around the enclosure. But little did he know, right under his feet was his doom. Well, kinda, because I thought right away the spider was gonna pop out, but the cricket actually was just straight up walking on top of the spider, and the spider just didn't care. But I think it's because this cricket was a little bit big for the spider, so a little bit later, I came back with a smaller cricket, as you can see. And well, as you can also see, this time the spider did not waste a single second to pounce onto this cricket. Nah, look at this instant replay. Imagine if that was my finger. And, well, I guess this spider is gonna enjoy his very tasty meal now. Nice. All right.
Yeah, you might be thinking, heck no, TerraGreen, are you stupid? If a spider walked on water, it would just fall in and drown. But I think I actually found a spider species that actually can walk on water. And I've heard that they can also do tons of other crazy stuff.
So I built it up the perfect environment with both a water and a land area to get this experiment started. Now, I very carefully let the spider loose because obviously, as you can tell, it's extremely large and creepy. I'm still kind of scared of spiders. But eventually, the spider ended up crawling out of the container.
All right, now that he's out of that container and on the land section, hopefully he now goes and walks in the water. Let me see if maybe I can move him over there. I don't want to. Oh, he's doing it.
Yep, and just like that, the spider started to defy the laws of physics, kinda. I know it looks like the spider is just sort of floating on top of the water, but it actually has completely perfect control to be able to walk around on top, just like it was solid ground. Yeah, it's actually insane, but these spiders are able to do this because of their legs, which are covered with these super tiny water repellent hairs that make them buoyant on top of the water.
But these guys didn't just evolve to walk on the water for nothing. They did it so they could hunt where no other spider could.
While most normal spiders just sit on a web all day waiting for the prey to come to them, these guys are active hunters and instead are able to pick up the slightest vibrations in the water to know exactly where the stuff is to attack it.
So I want to see if this fishing spider will try and dive under the water for some crickets. This should be very interesting. I've heard crickets are these guys' super favorite food, if that makes sense. Yeah, they really like them though.
Yeah, now I was gonna try and take my time with this, but you see, I accidentally dropped the cricket in, and right away the fishing spider went insane and pounced on it without wasting a single second, and the cricket was now just straight up in the fangs of this insane predator. But I didn't really get a good view of it attacking the cricket, so what I actually did was took the cricket from the spider so I could see if I could get the shot one more time. And this time, the spider once again pounced onto the cricket as soon as it saw it. And obviously, it's pretty creepy, and you can see those legs moving. It's very scary, actually. But you could see from under the water, the cricket had no chance of escape, and it was now getting eaten as the spider walked up onto the land to finish eating it there.
All right.
I instantly dropped it into a little enclosure I built for it. You see, they're called trapdoor spiders because they build trapdoors. Basically, over the course of a few hours, they dig out a hole in the ground. Then they coat the inside of that hole with a special kind of silk they produce that allows it to essentially turn into a functional trapdoor that they can surprise prey with. And while I wasn't able to catch mine building the trapdoor, the next morning I came back to find this area looking pretty different. And based off of this suspicious moss and silk tripwires, I'm pretty sure the spider set up his trapdoor right here.
So I suspect if I put a cricket in, the spider will jump out of the trapdoor to eat it.
Immediately, the cricket got to walking around, and this enclosure isn't super big, so it wasn't long until the cricket was right next to the trapdoor. Now, you see these silk lines. Like I said earlier, they are tripwires that are directly connected down to where the spider is located. So if something were to touch one of these tripwires, the spider would instantaneously know exactly where to strike. And well, guys, it is insane to see this because like 20 seconds later, the cricket walked over the trapdoor onto the tripwire, and the cricket is now it's just gone. Check out that instant replay. Oh my gosh. The fact that the spider is just born with the ability to know to do this is so insane. And if you thought that was cool,
I have no idea what condition the one I'm gonna get is gonna be in, but I want to do my part to help. Hopefully we'll still be able to save it. Let's add this to the cart.
And of course, I paid extra for 1-day delivery, so this axolotl didn't have to spend any extra time in this box.
Oh, I really hope this axolotl is okay. Okay, there's ice packs. That's a good sinus package as well. Now for the moment of truth, let's see this axolotl.
The axolotl was alive, and so I quickly brought it over to this temporary tank so I could put her inside and get a better look. She was a beautiful black axolotl, almost 10 inches long, meaning this thing was fully grown.
Now I actually went and emailed the people I bought this from, and they told me when they got it, this axolotl was found at a pet shop. And when they got it, it had these massive white spots on it and even a chunk of its tail missing.
But axolotls are amazing because they're one of the few animals that are able to regrow limbs literally from nothing. It's insane. And this girl had already made a substantial amount of progress in healing her tail, as you can see.
But they also said that she's not fully recovered yet, and they said to add this chemical called a stress guard, which I have right here, as you can see. And yeah, basically this stuff will add a little bit of a slime coat to the axolotl's skin and help it recover even faster in this temporary tank.
So it's my goal to get this axolotl fully thriving again by the end of the video, and while we wait for the stress guard to take effect, let's build its dream home. Which every axolotl tank of course starts with the floor, which we'll start by adding in a layer of this aqua soil that will give the proper nutrients to all the cool plants we're gonna add in here. Then we're gonna cover that with a layer of sand so the soil won't make the water dirty at all.
But for this build, I've got these. Like a bunch of black crystal rock stuff that I can just go and scatter all over the sand.
Obviously, our rescue axolotl has this unique dark color. So for this whole enclosure, we're gonna be matching that theme as much as I can. As you can see, I got super small black rocks that are almost like sand, medium-sized pebbles, and even large stones, which adds a ton of variety all over the sand. Very nice. But now the tank needs some big rocks, and as you can see, I've got a few different types. But the choice of which to use is clear. You see, axolotls have super delicate skin that can easily scrape on stuff, and especially our rescue axolotl cannot afford to get scraped while he heals. So I'm going to use the smoothest stones here with no rough edges, which I put a few of those on the side, and I also got out some of these pieces of wood and kind of played around with them to see which style I liked most, and I ended up deciding on this with the two long pieces of branches on the two sides. But as you can see, I've kept the middle of this enclosure completely empty. That's because secondly, I'm going to be building an axolotl cave, which yes, will literally be a cave that looks like an axolotl's head, which, well, I mean, that's the plan at least. I don't know how well it's gonna go.
And building this for the axolotl is gonna be perfect because in the wild, they absolutely love dark sheltered areas because it keeps them safe from predators. And I guess caves are made out of rocks, so I'll just start kind of stacking them around here. I bought a bunch of rocks, as you can see.
And after measuring how wide the cave was gonna be, I decided to build it outside of the tank to make it easier. Basically, the plan is we line up the rocks in a kind of circular shape, and then we get out some spray foam and, well, we just start spraying to connect them all. Yeah, I love spray foam so much because it's so useful for all of my aquarium builds. Anyways, I continued to stack the rocks up more and more with spray foam till it ended up looking sort of like the shape of an axolotl head. We got the mouth as the entrance to the cave. Then I put on some giant googly eyes to, obviously be the eyes. And finally, axolotls, of course, have these little hairy things coming out of the side of their head. These are actually the axolotl's gills, which let it breathe, which obviously we had to put on this cave. So I got some of these dark red pipe cleaners and kind of just stuck them on the side of the rocks.
All right, but as you can tell, this is obviously a little bit tacky. I mean, the spray foam is basically like a different color than the rocks. So that's why I'm gonna add some paint. And don't worry, I double checked to make sure this is aquarium safe once it dries. The last thing we need is paint toxicity for our injured axolotl.
So yeah, I went and carved off all the excess spray foam and painted the parts that I thought would make it look better. And anyways, here is the final axolotl cave. And as you can tell, it's basically a one-on-one replica of our axolotl. So I went and put it inside, and well, boom, it is done.
But you see, the coolest thing about this axolotl cave is if we go off and turn off, all the lights, the eyes glow in the dark, kinda. It's not even that dark in here. If it was pitch black, this would be kind of scary to be looking at at night, I'm not gonna lie.
Anyways, before the rest of the build, you're probably wondering how the axolotl is doing. Well, she's actually doing really good. It's been about 8 hours since putting her in here, and you can tell she was being way more active, walking around thanks to that stress guard.
But I've been doing even more research of how to heal the axolotl, and a lot of people are saying to use Indian almond leaves in the water. I didn't even know what those were, but I went out and bought some, of course. Whatever I can do to give the axolotl his best health, I will do. And I guess you just put them inside like that and then just mix it around. Okay.
Immediately, you can see the leaves provided a little bit of cover above the axolotl, which probably helps her feel safer, but it also starts to slowly turn the water a cloudy tea color. Basically, this is because the leaves are spreading this thing called tannins around into the water, which is just some natural thing that helps the axolotl's skin get even healthier. Nice.
And if you didn't already know, axolotls literally don't need any sort of land area in their tanks.
Which of course, while that goes into effect, the next step for the tank is DIY decorations. And this time, I've got a really good plan. I got a brick and chisels again. Yep, a couple videos ago, I tried to make a fish statue by carving it out, and it looked super good and super realistic, as you can see.
Well, one of you guys commented saying I should make an axolotl statue, so let's see how this goes.
So first of all, I sketched out how it was gonna look, and this time I got out a professional carving kit. And yep, I don't know what any of these tools do, but I immediately got to work. Once again, I refused to watch any sort of tutorial on how to properly do this, and that might have been reflected in my work quality because this stone was way harder to carve out than the one before. And even this is super sped up. If you see the real speed of how slow I was going, you could probably understand how painful this was. So I decided to just call it finished here.
All right, check it out. As you can see, it is absolutely, I mean, it's really good. This could easily belong in the museums besides the other greatest works of art. Actually, guys, I'm just kidding. This looks like the stupidest caveman tried to like draw a lizard on the side of his cave. It's not very good. Hey, it was still kind of fun to build, so I'm just gonna plop that right there. And if you think my sculpting work is super good, go ahead and leave a comment saying what I should build next. I might try one more, and I don't really know if it's gonna go too well.
I also put on some googly eyes because, of course, everything needs googly eyes to look good. I'd love for the plants in here to match the black theme, but unfortunately, black plants mean dead plants. So I'm gonna have to stick to some old-fashioned blue plants. I mean green plants. They don't have blue plants. So you already know the drill. I drove to Petco, pretty much bought out their entire stock. And by the way, sorry to anyone that needs to get plants here after I visit. I always buy all the good ones. And I brought them back home. Now, for some reason, I forgot to click record on my camera during the planting process. But just imagine this is what it looked like. I took the plants, put them in the sand, and I did that with all of them. Yep, pretty revolutionary stuff. Then I filled it with cycled water, which I also forgot to record, but by the end, it looked like this.
But it's this thing. It's a circular air bubble maker, and it should give oxygen to this whole tank.
I was just gonna go and put it inside, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to see what it looked like in action before we filled up the tank. So I put it in this temporary one and check it out. Oh yeah, look at the bubbles. I don't know why every time I put one of these in my tanks, it makes me excited. And yeah, I kind of was just playing around with it a little bit too much, watching the bubbles go in weird directions. Anyways,
which yep, I've got right here. And I'm gonna go and hang it right above the tank so I always know what's inside of here.
So don't worry, to follow the outline of this picture. To make the drawing on the plaque, I first drew the pattern out of pencil, and if I thought any part looked bad, I erased it and redrew it. And by the end, the outline was pretty similar to the one on my phone. And don't worry, I know you can barely see this, so in order to actually engrave it into the plaque, I now had to use this wood burning thing. Basically, the end of this pen is like a bajillion degrees hot, and it literally burns the pattern into the wood. It's kind of like what I did in my camouflaged mantis video when I made the sticks black, but yeah, just much more controlled, and it didn't take too long to finish it all up. I even went and wrote what I was gonna name the axolotl at the top of the plaque.
Yep, I'm naming it Black's the Axe. A lotl in parentheses. Because obviously, it's a black axolotl. I feel like that name fits and it rhymes. Black's the axe. Anyways, let's hang this up.
So I went and hung it above the tank. It's time to get the axolotl inside and do tons of other fun stuff with him to give him the best life after being injured.
Oh, Blacks, I got some good news for you. I don't know if you've ever been in a proper enclosure, but what I'm about to add you to definitely is.
So I brought my new friend over to the enclosure and let him free. Immediately, he was already super active, exploring around the whole thing, which was a good sign.
But I'm gonna be obviously doing more than just watching this guy. I have all these fun things that I want to test with this guy real quick. And the first one is food. Let's test 3 different food sources. They're axolotl pellets. I have a feeling that he's not gonna like eat it as fast as those worms. That was like literally under a second, but let's try.
Now this time, let's just say the axolotl wasn't too interested because it took seconds before she even did anything. But she did end up putting her nose right up to the pellet to figure out what was in front of her. You see, axolotls have pretty bad eyesight, so they usually rely on their nose to scope out stuff. And here, after giving the pellet a very, very thorough sniff, she eventually took a bite at it, tasted it in her mouth for like a second, and ultimately spat it back out. Okay, I guess she doesn't like pellets. Hey,
it's some like freeze-dried bloodworms. Yeah, let me unpackage these.
The goal is to see how quickly Blacks will eat each food source to see which she likes the most. And well, with these bloodworms, she was actually pretty interested, because after like a second, she saw them and snapped, but she missed them. So she tried another attempt at eating them and failed again. But finally, she did actually get a hold of the rest of the worm, and boom, that only took like 10 seconds. Yeah, and she also looked so cute and happy after eating that. Dang, she must have been hungry.
All right, these are proper earthworms, basically. Yeah, let's see how long this one takes.
And this time, the axolotl must have set a world record, because it only took a little over 1 second for her to get a hold of this worm and start devouring it. I mean, let's get an instant replay on that. Nah, look, she was ready for that worm, and yep, she was even happier after having this in her mouth, because it must have tasted spectacular. Okay, this is good knowledge. I know to stick with the worms now. Anyways, about 10 minutes later, I noticed Blacks had walked herself into the axolotl cave that I'd built for her. Seems like she was just gonna chill in here for a bit. Hey, I'm glad she's liking it and using it.
Now for the final thing I want to test with the axolotl that's currently in the cave is, well, a GoPro. Yep, I've got a GoPro that I'm gonna stick underwater and do some fun stuff with it. All right, click record, and let's switch to this camera, baby. Okay, I'm gonna start going underwater.
And yeah, after getting it to the bottom and kind of just sticking it inside the cave, you can see the axolotl's body was actually right here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see since the axolotl matches the color of the rocks, but yeah, she was just chilling in here. To see if I could lure her out, I actually went and picked up some more of her favorite food, which is the worms, of course. At first, I was kind of just waving them around in there, but she didn't really see them. Well, that was until this, when I put the worm a little deeper in, and just like that, the axolotl took it straight from my grip and was now devouring it. Yep, Blacks will never pass up on the opportunity to eat a nice juicy worm, and she was not letting me grab it back, so I decided to just let her have it.